Hey guys, today I want to talk about jealousy. Jealousy is the one thing that creeps into relationships here in the Philippines. It's a thing that's really prevalent here in the Philippines. And during breakups, it usually makes the breakups 10 times worse than it has to be sometimes. And one of the things I noticed in the Philippines is lately we've seen a lot of breakups in relationships, and sometimes it's over jealousy, sometimes it's just a normal breakup. It's just that time again to move on and head out in the highways and meet somebody new. And sometimes that happens. A lot of guys over here, we go through relationships, and some guys go through more relationships than others. And I was lucky enough that I went through a really long relationship, and some of the other guys here, they go through short relationships, long relationships. But one thing I notice in a lot of these cases is that somehow jealousy kind of creeps in to a lot of these guys. And I've noticed it lately with a lot of the guys, even during the breakups. What happens is people get jealous really quick, and the girls go crazy over here sometimes. And it's kind of tough, because I notice that the girls over here, they're a little bit more immature. And it goes even in the older women. Sometimes they can be a little bit immature, and they get really jealous about friendships that you have with an ex or whatever. And in Western countries, usually when we go through a breakup, a lot of Americans and Westerners, they tend to stay friends with their exes or whatever. Some do and some don't. It depends on how the breakup went. And sometimes later on things calm down, the dust settles, and we kind of remain friends with our exes. And it's kind of nice to be able to have that relationship sometimes with an ex, just because it works, and she knows things that you need to know, or she helps you with things that you need help with or whatever. And the friendship works, and you can always be friends with an ex. I mean, a lot of my exes back home, I'm still friends with, even to this day, and some of them I'm not. So, when you're out there and you're with a Filipina, you make sure that the girl doesn't have a jealousy issue. And sometimes you don't see this for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And it can be a difficult thing to go through for a lot of guys over here to go through that. But when I noticed lately that a lot of the guys that are going through breakups, and I mentioned this the other day a little bit, is that on the way out of a relationship, I noticed that there's a lot of meanness, and some of the girls here take it to a different level. They take it to a totally different level of, when you break off with me, you're gonna get punished. And I noticed that recently with like 4 expats that are going through breakups right now. And I really feel for these guys, because it almost hurts to watch it, because I and a lot of the other expats knew these women, and we thought of them as really decent women. They probably are. It's just that the immaturity takes over, or the jealousy takes over, or the hatred takes over, that nobody's going to break off with me and get away with it. Either you stay with me or whatever. I don't know what's going on in some of these girls' heads when they do this stuff, but they take it to a whole new level. And in some cases, they try to even get these guys up on criminal charges and stuff like that. And that's the scary part. And that's what you got to watch out for here. When you look for a woman over here, the second you see a little bit of jealousy going on, you got to be careful of that. And all women and all people have a little bit of jealousy going on. Let's face it, it's just something built into all of us. It's from birth. We all have a bit of jealousy. When we used to see our mom and our dad paying more attention to somebody, we used to get jealous as kids, and it happens in relationships too. But as we grow up and get older, we get kind of sick and tired of putting up with that, because we grow up, we move on, and we're more mature, and we say, hey, we can still be friends or whatever. But a lot of women, when you move on into another relationship, they don't like that. And sometimes the woman that you left does not like that either. And, one of the things I learned is you got to kind of give it a little bit of time sometimes to kind of, move on sometimes. If you've been in a long relationship, and if you've been in a short relationship, you should be able to move on as quick as you want. That's up to you. But be careful, guys, because like I said, some of these girls over here, they'll take it up to a whole new level during a breakup or whatever. And also during relationships, I noticed that a lot of the girls over here, they have that jealousy streak in them, man. It's really difficult to watch sometimes, because I know some guys, like, they can't even talk to a girl or talk to a sales girl or say thank you, and like, I have a habit of sometimes calling somebody hun sometimes, and it's because I worked with, a lot of people when I was, younger and stuff like that. And I use that word, and I know that's a word that you're not supposed to use in today's world because of all this crazy stuff that's going on. You're not supposed to call that because it's sexist or whatever. And I still have that habit. I think it's just out of, being respectful or whatever. Some people don't think that that's respectful. And I get that, and I've tried to back off that a lot since I left the States and come over here. I notice a lot of people are accepting of it. You tell people that, but over here, I think it thinks that like you have a crush on that girl or you like that girl or whatever, and it really doesn't mean that for you girls that are out there listening to this. In some cases, it does. It depends on how you say it, the way you say it, or whatever. But we have so many different mannerisms in the United States. And I think a lot of times Filipinos take those mannerisms for, like, you're hitting on a woman, or if you say a woman's, oh, you look beautiful today, or something like that. I have a tendency sometimes to say something, oh, that girl looks really pretty. It doesn't mean I'm hitting on her or anything like that. It's just, the girl looks really pretty. She's attractive, she's a gorgeous woman. And I think it's okay to say that sometimes, and the jealousy factor kind of takes away from that, because when you're saying it in a nice way, respectful manner or whatever, things always get taken out of context in the Philippines. And I think the Philippines is known for that more than other countries. Not to say that the United States doesn't, women don't have their imperfections, and so don't guys. We have our imperfections too. And I think a lot of the guys that come over here have way more imperfections, than the average guy, I think. In some cases, I would say a good number of them do over here in the Philippines. It's just something I notice, that the guys over here come with a lot of baggage and problems. And I see it with the guys over here, because over here, average Joe, can get a really good looking woman over here. And I don't think they know how to handle that sometimes. And I think there's jealousy on that side too. So when a guy over here sees the girl talking to some guy or whatever, they always tend to think the worst. And that jealousy thing just kind of eats away at relationships, man. And I hope people listen to this. I hope some of the girls listen to this too, because I think that, when you let that jealousy creep into your relationship, it's a destructive force. Okay, it's more likely to end your relationship than to help your relationship, because showing jealousy, a lot of guys get fed up with that, especially when they're not doing anything wrong. And I've been accused of things before in the past, and there's nothing there, and it's just something that you kind of see here. All of us see it here, and when I remember even in the United States, I had a woman, when I was talking to some other woman, she got ticked off. She was a Hispanic girl, and she got kind of ticked off at me because I was talking to another Spanish girl who happened to be a very good friend of mine. And, it's okay to have friends that are of the opposite sex. And I think over in the Philippines here, it's kind of frowned upon by a lot of the women here because of immaturity, I think when you get into an older relationship, the women are a little bit more respectful of that. In some cases, some women just never grow up, let's face it. They don't realize that you can still have a friendship with either your ex or somebody that you dated or whatever. They don't think that you can have a friendship, or you're not supposed to have a friendship with somebody. Even if you're married, you should be able to have a friendship. I mean, let's face it, some of us have kids with people, with other women that from former relationships, and you still have to kind of have somewhat of a friendship because of the children, just to, show the children that you're still friendly with their mom or whatever, or their dad if you're a woman, so I'm not sure why over here it's different. I do think that there's a lot of immaturity in a lot of the Filipinos here. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love Filipinos just like the next guy over here. I just think that there's a substantial difference over here than in most countries, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's the upbringing, the culture, and I think there is some cultural differences where there's a lot more naiveness, and also that, like I said, that jealousy. But anyway, guys, I wanted to bring that up, and one of the things I want to touch on before I leave here is that be careful on the way out of a relationship over here. When you see things going south, be very careful, because like I said, some of these girls can take it up a notch a little bit, and I'm seeing that in about 4 couples right now in our group, okay? And it hurts to watch that, because there's always the possibility somebody could go to jail on false accusations or something like that. And I'd hate to see that, you know, but I see these accusations flying all the time, and they drum up these false accusations, or they take you, you know, to the PMP or the barangay or what have you. And that can be rough, man. And I'm hearing this from some guys down in Cebu, Angeles, even in our group here. We're hearing it, you know, there's rumblings of a whole bunch of stuff going on with different people. And it hurts. It hurts to see that. And I feel for these guys a lot. Because, you know, it's usually some immature girl that's causing all these problems. And it's just sad to watch. It's sad to watch. I hate to see that. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. And be careful out there, guys. Be careful. Just be aware, you know. And the Philippines is a different place. A lot of people think that these girls are naive and easy to manipulate or whatever. And it's not about manipulation. You don't want to manipulate your girl here. You just don't, because they're gonna get pissed about that. And a lot of guys come over here and try to manipulate these girls. That's the last thing you want to do. And don't let them manipulate you either. And don't get into that jealousy thing. If you see a girl that's really jealous and you're just starting to date her or something like that, be careful, because that might come back to bite you later on. God bless, guys. Take care.